All right, YouTube, what's good? My name is Denonu, aka the man with the most, biggest, and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And this is going to be another real anime talk video. We haven't did one of these in probably, I don't know, a while. Let's say maybe a month and a half, 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, something like that. And I'm going to start it back up here. I didn't stop it by any means, but I've just been making other commentaries talking about other comic book movies and other things and stuff like that. So we're going to get back into it. And with this one here, we're going to be talking about Teknoman, or Tekkaman Blade, if you're watching, the Japanese version. And this is an anime that's it's up there on my list, so to speak. It's not the greatest anime by any means, but it holds like that one of these special places in my many chambered heart for anime. And this is it doesn't do anything new. I don't like it because it does something different or because it's the best at what it does. It's basically a retelling, a rehash of an original story that was written in the 70s, because Tekkaman, or I think that's what they called it in or at least the first one over there in Japan, was basically an anime about aliens invading Earth, and mankind had to develop a weapon to fight against these aliens, so to speak. And they basically made this gave this one guy powers where he, it was like a Power Ranger type thing, where it's like he could transform and go and fight the aliens, since people couldn't do it, right? So that's why I say it doesn't really do anything new in that vein. Teknoman, or Tekkaman Blade, is pretty much the same thing. It's just a retelling of that original story. Instead of, let's say, mankind developing the Tekkaman technology, so to speak, it's the aliens that developed it. And basically the main character of the show, Blade, is the one that got away. In Tekkaman Blade, the aliens kidnapped 4 or 5 people, and they kind of gave them this Tekkaman Blade technology so they can transform and become, let's say, like these weapons of mass destruction. And they were, meant to be the generals of this aliens army that was invading Earth. So he was the one guy who got the powers from it, but it didn't turn him evil, so to speak. He, the process got cut before he, got that far with it. So that's why he joins up with the people that's on Earth and tries to defend against these aliens. And the reason why I like Tekkaman Blade so much is it's probably something about it, I don't know. But I know it does share a lot of similarities as far as not necessarily how the anime goes, but as far as the type of anime it is and what the main character, what his powers are. Maybe because it reminds me of the Guyver, because I love that too for the same reasons. But the only difference with this is I would say I think I seen Teknoman first, to be honest. If I had to remember where I watched the two, I remember seeing Teknoman first, I think, because I remember watching that on TV back when I was in middle school. It used to come on UPN at Sunday morning at 7:30, at 7 or 8, and I remember watching it there. And then the first time I remember seeing the Guyver was on television when they played the first Guyver movie. And they played that on Sci-Fi and things like that. So maybe I relate the two, but they're incredibly similar when it came to the main characters and what their powers are. Teknoman is probably a whole lot more powerful, so to speak, as far as what he can do. But as far as how the armor interacts with the host that wears it, it's incredibly similar. Every time I think about it, I always think to myself, I think the guy who made Teknoman and the guy who made made the Guyver was copying notes in school. And they both went to anime school. They sat next to each other, and they was both cheating off each other. But to get back to the anime here, Teknoman is it's one of those animes where bad guy pops up, main character has to go to stop him. Like I said, it doesn't do anything new, but when I say that, it's not like Dragon Ball Z. Like Dragon Ball Z, the only thing they have is just, oh, there's this bad guy, we have to stop this bad guy, and that's it. There's no other ongoing plots really. Nothing else really happens. Just bad guy comes up, good guys got to beat the bad guys. This has that, but you have a lot of subplots along with that, you know, so to speak. Like the main character, he's the typical popular anime anti-hero starting out. He's like the Sasuke, where it's like, oh, I don't want nobody's help, I can do everything myself, you know, that kind of mentality, right? But as the show goes on, since he's the only one with these, let's say, superhuman abilities, you know, so to speak, everybody, all the rest of the humans, they can't fight, you know, the aliens. For whatever reasons, the aliens' bodies and things like that, they're super tough, meaning like the strongest gun on Earth can't shoot them, you know, so he's like the only weapon that they can use to fight them with, you know, so it's kind of like they're unusual bedfellows because they both need each other at the end of the day. He gets put in a position where he needs them. At the beginning, he doesn't need them because he has all the abilities right out the get-go. But I want to say something happens in like the earlier episodes where his crystal gets smashed. I forget how. I think he got into a fight with somebody and his crystal gets smashed, and his crystal is kind of like what he uses to transform with. It would be like if you took a Power Ranger and smashed their well, I guess I can't say the belt thing because every Power Ranger thing is different, but anytime a Power Ranger transforms, they whip out this thing. It makes it sound like I'm talking about something dirty, but they whip it out, YouTube, and it, you know, covers their whole wrist or their belt, you know, just whip it out all over the crotch area. And basically whatever their morpher is, you know, it's like taking that and breaking it, so you can't morph. Basically something like that happened to his crystal, and he couldn't transform into Teknoman. You know, he couldn't transform anymore. And so he needed their help to figure out, like, okay, they had to use human technology in order to get this crystal to work again. And how they did it was they basically put it into, you know, a giant robot. You know, I mean, this is Japan, you know, Japan is making this. I mean, that's their solution for everything. But they put it in a giant robot, they get it to work, and he's able to transform and fight the aliens and stuff. So that's why I say he needs them just like they need him. Like, you know, we need him to fight the aliens, but he needs them to be his support team, you know, because he doesn't have anybody else. It's just him. When he needed to get back into space, you know, they was like, yo, we got this spaceship that could shoot you up there, you know, because he didn't have enough power to do it himself. Over time, you know, over the course of the anime, he beats the aliens, things like that. But one thing I do like about Teknoman more so than, let's say, even Dragon Ball Z, I will say the fights are nowhere near the fights aren't on that DBZ level. So when I'm comparing it to DBZ, I'm just saying good guys versus bad. I'm not saying that it's not like a Bleach or Naruto type anime. Like those I would compare to like DBZ. This isn't like that at all. This is more of like, I can't even call it a typical shonen anime because it's not really a shonen anime either. Like again, the only thing I can compare it to, I forget the Japanese term that they have for it, but it's those animes and manga that's like Power Rangers, like Power Rangers, VR Troopers, Kakaider, and Masked Rider, and you know, that kind of sort of stuff. It's, you know, I'm gonna say Big Bag Beetleborgs, so I can throw that in there too, but it's like in the vein of that, where it's like good guys versus bad guys, the main characters fighting these alien monsters, things like that, right? But what I like about Teknoman that the others don't have is that it's kind of like a tragic story. Mankind damn near gets wiped out because they can't fight the aliens, so millions and millions of people be dying throughout the course of the anime. I think the aliens actually invade Earth and put humanity on the run type thing. The main character, in the beginning of the anime, his crutch was that he could transform and become powerful and fight the aliens, but he could only do it for 30 minutes. As soon as that clock hit like 31 minutes, he would flip out, become bad, and start killing anybody he saw. So that was like an earlier crutch that he had to get over. Well, I can't say he really got over it, but there was that was like his thing. Like, anytime he got into a fight, whenever he had to stop fighting was when he hit 30 minutes. After that, it was like, you can't hit 30 minutes because you might turn around and kill us, because then that evil programming would, let's say, kick in, and he would just, I would say, become the Incredible Hulk. But the Hulk don't kill it, indiscriminately, but he would. And since he had the power that they had, he could like decimate the planet by himself, so that was like an earlier crush that they had him on. Also throughout the course, the other people with the abilities like he had, like the generals of the army, they were members of his friends and family, and he had to go fight them and then kill them. And I love that aspect of it. It took it a little bit into that, like, oh, this is a deeper story here. It's not just about good versus bad and these aliens. Like, no, like, in order to save humanity, he had to kill his family. Like, his sister ended up getting killed. He had to kill his brother at the end because his brother was like the strongest guy there, besides the main bad guy who was running things. So it's one of those things where throughout the course of the anime, he not only had to kill his family and the friends of his family, so to speak, because there was like 5 or 6 of them. And so there was hardships every time he had to pull the trigger on those moments. But even besides that, you had the humans who like saw his potential as a weapon. So like then you also had like other humans and other like military factions try to weasel their way in so they can control him. Like he was like the Incredible Hulk or something like that, where it's like, oh, we think this group that you're working with, they don't know how to support you, right? We're gonna, just usurp control over them. And they would always use shady tactics to try to take over. I think they were called the Space Knights. They would always use shady tactics to try to take them over. They even tried to kill the main character one time. I think the one episode when the main character's brother fought him for like I want to say like the second time, because every time he saw his brother, it was kind of like if any of you guys have seen Berserk or like read Berserk, the manga, whenever like Guts pictures Griffith, he flips out and goes to kill him. That's how the main character would do his brother. When his brother would pop up, he would instantly beeline right towards him and start fighting on YouTube. And so during the course of that, like I want to say like the second or third time they fought, he would always leave. Like the first time they fought, it was like a skirmish or something. The second time, he pushed him to that 30-minute mark when he was fighting him, and he left. And his brother was like, oh, whoa, why'd you leave? I thought we was fighting. So then he realized like, oh, he can only fight me for 30 minutes, So that third time they fought, he intentionally kept him from leaving and made him flip back, And when he flipped back, he just walked a beeline to like, I forget like, what the population center was, but he was walking to like a city, and anybody who got in his way to get to the city, he instantly killed them. And they like dropped a nuke on him, and or something. I think they called it what was it, like an N2 mine or something? It was something that it was like a nuclear bomb, or like atomic bomb, something of that caliber. And they dropped it on him, trying to kill him. Where the Space Knights, they didn't want to kill him, but then you had this other military faction was like, oh no, we can kill him, because they had developed like this new weapon that could fight the aliens, and they didn't want the other group to have him because he was more powerful. So they tried to kill him, but he just like took the nuke to the chest and just stood there and took it and just kept walking when the explosion died down. So that really made an impression on me as a kid. But besides him having to kill his friends and family going forward, right? Another major twist of it was at the end. By the time you got to like the end of the anime, the aliens invaded Earth. They took over, they damn near killed everybody. And the only hope that they had was they were trying to make the main character stronger. They were trying to give him like, for lack of a better term, they were trying to give him like a Super Saiyan-esque ability, or something where he could just pop it on and transform and get stronger. And they ended up doing it. They did succeed in doing it. Like, it was either gonna kill him or make him transform. It was like a 50-50 shot. And luckily, of course, he's the main character. The shit worked, and he got stronger. But the catch behind it is, and the reason why I like how the anime ended, is that every time he would, let's say, go Super Saiyan, it would like destroy parts of his memory. So imagine if Goku was fighting Cell or Boo or something, right? And every time he went Super Saiyan, he forgot who he was. So let's say one memory, one time he went Super Saiyan, he forgot who Gohan was. The next time he went Super Saiyan, oh, he forgot who his wife was. The next time he went Super Saiyan, oh, I forgot I was a damn good guy. He just started going around killing her. Imagine if it was something like that. So like every time he had to use this ability to fight like his brother or the other members of his family, he would forget certain parts of himself. And I think even at one point he forgot who he was in love with like with this one chick that was a part of the Space Knights. At one point he forgot who she was. So it was just like, damn, so that's why I say it's like a tragic victory, because at the end of the anime, like, yeah, he fights his brother, he beats the main bad guy at the end, right? But the catch is, when he actually got to the main bad guy and the main bad guy was looking at him, he was like, the main bad guy, before he could break out into his monologue explaining how badass he was, right? He was like, I can't even, talk to you because you don't even understand what's going on. Like, you don't even know who I am, dude. Like, you don't even know who you are. So, main bad guy was pissed, YouTube. But the only thing left at the end of the anime, he had to use the ability so much over time that the only thing he had left mentally was just his drive to wipe them out. Basically instinct, so to speak. That was the only thing he had, when he got to the end of the anime. So yeah, he beat the main bad guy at the end, right? And even when, he beat the main bad guy at the end, it left him into like a comatose state where it was just like he was in a coma. And he didn't have no memories of who he was. He couldn't do nothing. He couldn't even get up and walk. He was just sitting there drooling on himself. That's how far that ability, or that's what it cost them, so to speak. So it's just one of those things where it's like, I like what they did with the story, because they could have just had him get better and then, have him beat the main bad guy and that's it. And oh yeah, good prevails, but no. Earth is still messed up. He did all that to beat the main bad guy and defeat the aliens, but guess what? That wasn't on the aliens' home planet. The aliens that caused the whole thing, yeah, guess what? They're still out there in like another galaxy somewhere. You just fought their basically the aliens. It's kind of hard to describe, but the aliens, when they invade other galaxies, they don't come in like ships and soldiers and things like that. They send like a how would I describe it? They send like a seed ship. That seed ship came in contact with the main character's ship and his family. So it basically engulfed their ship, kidnapped them, made them into the Tekkaman, let's say, generals of the army, and then they became evil and was working for the working for the aliens. So these generals that he's fighting throughout the whole thing, and all like the other insect aliens and stuff, they were all like created on Earth or in they had like this space station ring that surrounded Earth. So they were all created there when they first invaded, but they weren't the actual aliens that started the whole process that sent the ship here. If you guys can understand what I'm saying. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he did all that, but guess what? You wasn't even fighting the source. You weren't fighting the source of the problem. You was fighting what, like their advanced scouts or pawns, as it were. It's not like he went to their planet Ender's Game style and, dropped a little doctor on their planet and blew the planet up. No, he didn't do nothing. He didn't do none of that. 10 years later, aliens came back, was like, yo, what happened to our people? We thought they was here, and he had to fight them again. So it's like, that's why I say I really do like where the story went. And it's kind of interesting because you had like a couple spin-offs of the main anime. One was like a follow-up where the aliens came back you know, so humans had to fight him again. Luckily at that time, they kind of broke down how the Tekkaman technology worked, and we were able to make people that had that same technology, you know, that could transform and be like the main character, but they weren't as strong as the main character. You know, they had to weaken them power wise. And you also had another spin-off of it where it basically showed the main character, his brother, fighting, and it was how the guy who made the anime, I don't know what the guy's name is, but the guy who designed it wanted Teknoman and Tekkaman to be something like the Guyver. That's why I said I think they was copying Note YouTube, because when he was making it, he wanted it to be more like organic. He wanted the armor to be more organic. I'm gonna try to put pictures in the video so you can see what Teknoman looks like. Teknoman looks like a typical robot mecha type suit. You know, if I could break it down any more than that, I wish I would, but to give a description of it, it looks like a mech suit. He transforms and gets a mech suit that goes over his body. And the guy who made it wanted it to be more like the Guyver, where instead of looking mechanical, it was all organics and had blood veins and all this kind of sort of stuff. You know, it had an organic look. So he made like one of the spin-offs or side OVAs about Tekkaman. Was like, it was basically about the same thing, but about how but he drew it like how he wanted it to originally look, and it looks all grotesque and nasty looking. I can see why why they switched it, because even though me personally, I love that, because hey, look, I love the guy, but it's not mainstream. I mean, if he'd have put that on television and stuff, I mean, people would have probably thought he was crazy. So it's one of those things where that guy in marketing did the right thing, where it's like, look, we understand, your creativity, but you got to taper it back a little bit, but overall, if I had to give it like a 1 out of 10 rating for me, with 10 being perfect and 1 being like the lowest, I would have to give Teknoman or Tekkaman Blade probably, in my eyes, because I like the material, it's probably up there. So it's probably like a high 6, maybe a 7, maybe pushing an 8. It's up there, but it's not like the best of the best. It's not the top. It's not greatest. But for me personally, since I love, the look, I love the story, since it fits me, that's why it's getting a video here today on YouTube. I mean, because that's the only other reason. Because it's like, I like everything about it. And yeah, I can nitpick. Like I said, it doesn't do anything perfect. I can find tons of flaws in it. English dub being one of them. I think they basically turned a transgender character into a guy because they're putting it on television. So I can jump into that ball of wax, which I'm not going to. But this anime kind of fit everything I liked out of that kind of an anime. Same reason why I like the Guyver. It fits the same mold, so to speak. And I just love it for it. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching my video here. If you guys seen Tekkaman Blade or Teknoman or any of the Tekkaman series, let me know what you guys think about it down below. So my name is Denonu, the man with black privilege, and I'll see you guys later.